This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
South today, the 76th anniversary of the bombing of Hiroshima was remembered at Dunedin's Peace Pole on the Otago Museum lawn this morning. A wall showcase which has run into difficulties in the past is due to be held again in central Otago. And the remains of a historic 19th century causeway in central Dunedin has been unveiled. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. 76 years ago today, an atomic weapon was first used in the theatre of war when the US Air Force dropped a bomb containing enriched uranium on Hiroshima. The blast reportedly killed 70,000 people instantly, with more than 150,000 dying of their injuries by the end of 1945. A group of people gathered at Dunedin's Peace Pole to remember today.
A solitary bell chimes at Dunedin's Peace Pole in the late morning as those gathered remember the many thousands of people who died when an atomic bomb was first used in war in 1945.
So we're here to remember the victims and to recommit ourselves to working to eliminate nuclear weapons from the world.
It's 76 years from one of the events which brought World War II to a brutal close, when a nuclear weapon was dropped, killing 70,000 people instantly. Professor Richard Jackson says, as well as remembering those who lost their lives, today's events also serve to educate future generations.
It's also an opportunity to inspire and educate a new generation of people so that they will take up the mantle of working to eliminate nuclear weapons. And it's also a way of sort of recommitting ourselves and signalling to everyone who's watching and to the rest of the world that we are committed to peace and we are committed to trying to rid the world of these inhuman weapons.
Members of the University of Otago drumming group Otago opened today's proceedings as the crowd at the Peace Pole grew. Professor Jackson says while they're remembering the events of 7 decades ago, the threat of nuclear weaponry is still current today.
So the nuclear arms race in a way is still continuing. And you know, the world is probably more at risk of nuclear weapons now than it was a few years ago because there are increased tensions, there are growing conflicts.
As well as Professor Jackson, Timothy Bramley stunned the crowd with a sung karakia before Emily Deans spoke on behalf of the Quakers. Poets Stephanie Dufresne and Sophie Wilson read before soprano Courtney Hickmont's voice cut across the traffic noise. 76 years ago, and by the end of 1945, 166,000 people, many of them thought to be Korean slaves, lost their lives to radiation and other injuries. And they were remembered again today. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Snow is on the cards for much of the country this weekend, with Met Service saying the chances are pretty good. Forecaster Weather Watch is predicting snow to around 100 to 200 metres is most likely to fall in Otago and Southland, while Canterbury looks to have snow to about 200 metres. A low pressure system on its way from the Tasman Sea and is set to move across the country on Friday and Saturday. The places most likely to see snow are high-level areas including the Western Ranges, Fiordland, Southland and Canterbury. After a 2-year hiatus, the often troubled Wool-On show is coming back to Central Otago next weekend. The event has drawn a good number of entries, with those creating fashion for the show ranging from 7 to over 70 years of age.
After cancellations and threats of boycott, Wool-On has been relaunched this year after a 2-year absence, with 40 entries already received for next weekend's shows. Entrants span an age range of over 60 years, with 7-year-old Sophia Hinson from Alexandra as the youngest in this year's creative fashion show. While some entries are from secondary school pupils, Sophia is the only primary school-aged entrant. She's learned the art of needle felting from YouTube and her grandmother. The oldest entrant is Elaine Wells, a weaver from Clyde, who says that woolcraft is an important skill for the younger generations to be learning. Wool-On's relaunch will see shows held at both Paris and Alexandra between the 13th and 15th of August.
After last year's cancellation due to COVID-19, the Otago Polyfest is back with a new director, plus a funding boost. Tanya Miyagoto-Tia has taken up the lead as director for the festival, which begins next month. She has previously worked on the Pacifica Festival in Auckland, the Auckland Arts Festival and the Christchurch Arts Festival. Otago Polyfest is one of the oldest events in the country and celebrating Māori and Pacifica culture. It was cancelled last year due to COVID-19. A government grant of $150,000 will also contribute to professional staffing at the festival. A historic wooden causeway dating back to about 1850 was unveiled in Dunedin's Wall Street Mall last night. It might not look like much, but the pile of sticks gives an insight into what the early settlers faced, armed with not much more than an axe to build their houses.
Finally unveiled under a layer of strengthened glass, this wooden causeway dating back to about 170 years ago tells the story of some of the very first European settlers who only had a few tools, such as axes, to carve out a township in what was to become Dunedin City.
So they're going up onto the hillside behind us here, cutting timber and carrying it down to where the town was growing down on the foreshore. But of course, it's a quagmire. They're walking across this boggy area, you'd be up to your waist in mud. So they're working hard, they're clearing bush, they're cutting timber to build, and they're also using some of the waste timber that they're cutting to build this pathway. So it's part of that whole story of how the first settlers basically carved a new life out of the landscape here at the head of the harbour.
Attending last night's unveiling was Peter Chin, who was the mayor of the city when the wooden sticks were first discovered by archaeologists leading up to the building of Wall Street Mall in 2008. He says he doesn't mind having to wait 13 years for the original wood to finally go on display to the public.
All these things take time, but it doesn't matter because it didn't have to be done yesterday. As long as it was done properly, and I think it has been done properly and it's going to be there forever.
Archaeologist Peter Pecci says the dig on the empty site before the mall was built unveiled a number of other treasures, some of which are now at the Toitu Otago Settlers Museum.
There's a lot of archaeological material here dating to all sorts of periods of Dunedin's history. We found material from the gold rush period, the 1860s. We found a whole load of miners' candle holders, which would have been there for the gold miners heading up to Central Otago. We found a little badge from the 1864 All England Cricket 11, the first international cricket team to tour New Zealand.
Pecci says it took a long time to get the preservation of the timbers done right, and as plans for the display kept changing, some new saw cuts were added to some pieces of wood. But he's pleased that it now stands as a testament to some of the hard work that went in to make Dunedin a city.
Seeing the timbers there, that was one of the best paths they would have had in all of Dunedin at the time. So it's the ability to appreciate how much the place has changed, the effort that people put into making a new home, just the stories it can tell about human endeavour, how people learnt about and adapted to this new place on completely the other side of the world from where they come from.
The project is estimated to have cost about $400,000. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today. New receivers have been brought in to tidy up a $1 billion failed property development near Queenstown. And we have another edition of Football Chat for you. So catch this and more after the break.
Lindsay here from Alex Campbell Menswear. We have a massive manufacturer's clearance plus. There's liquidated stock from our suppliers. For example, we have cotton casual trousers from 1990, dress trousers from 1990, merino zip pullovers, fashion shirts, warm winter shirts, jackets. There's a great deal on overcoats, blazers and suits. Come and check out our jeans. We're known for our jean selection.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Come in and see the massive manufacturer's clearance at Alex Campbell Menswear.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Need furniture? Don't wait. The ship's docked and John's got stock. He's taken 20% off bookcases and wall units. There's 35% off queen-size mattresses, and Indulgence Plus California King beds are half price. Plus tons more in-store. You'll save a shipload this weekend only at John's Furniture Warehouse, Stafford Street, and online at mymatejohn.co.nz.
Get that furniture from Stafford Street and my mate John.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Ah, TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air, and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
Be sure to tune in to Football Chat every week, where we chat about local football fixtures, results and everything else that's happening in the local game.
Welcome back. New receivers have been appointed to the long-standing receivership of a Queenstown property development. The Karorau Falls development, which has stalled several times, is seen here in file footage from 2018. Plans for a large upmarket hotel for the site date back as far as 2006. Two companies which were part of the $1 billion development have been appointed new receivers. According to a recent receivers report, about $170 million is still owed to secured creditors. In this week's episode of Football Chat, Matt Kelly and Rahan Ali talk with two local players about their games last weekend.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Football Chat. Today we're joined by Women's Premier League winner Neve Collins, and also third top goal scorer in the league, and also Kazim Ali, who I think is only here because he's your brother, Rahan.
Yes, he is my brother, and to be honest, he is only here because Mum said I had to bring him. So, nevertheless, let's get into the show.
Absolutely. Before we do, we'll say a quick shout out to our sponsors, McDonald's, the Otago Daily Times and Football South. We're not quite sure how we're still being allowed to run the show.
Very unsure.
But we are.
Yep, we are.
So let's carry on. Neve, we'll jump straight into it with you, thanks. You played two games this week. The first game against Roslyn, 2-2, it finished at the Turf. Can you talk us through that one, please?
Yeah, it was a really good match. We're always up for it against Roslyn. They're a big rival team, so all the girls are always really happy to have that game. We were dominating the first half quite well, always had possession, just passing it around, keeping the ball. Got 2 goals, I think one was from Chelsea, can't remember who the other one was from. And unfortunately the second half I was actually really ill, so I had to leave. So I actually didn't see how they scored their 2 goals, but I heard one was from a free kick, and I'm not surprised they got it in. They've got some great strikers there with Juliet and Renee with some great great striking boots. So yeah.
Would you say you're the difference there? It sounds like
Oh
you were.
no, I would not say that at all.
Okay.
No, the team. Yeah, we're all very great players, and it was just Roslyn. Big ups to Roslyn. They really showed their dominance in the second half, I guess, and just kept on going, kept on striving for it. So.
Now, Chasm, we'll jump on to you now. You played Queenstown, got the 3-2 win in the weekend, scoring a winner in the 81st minute. Can you talk us about that one?
Sure. So it's been about a month since we played, so going into the game, fitness levels were probably a bit low, and we weren't sure what the quality of football would be like. But we started off pretty well, and Reece got us ahead after 10 minutes, and then things took a turn for the worst when Matt Kelly actually gave away a penalty with a horrendous challenge.
It was a lazy leg, wasn't it?
It was a bit lazy, it was uncalled for. And they made easy work of that, so 1-1. And then I think it was Matt Kelly again actually who gave away a free kick on the edge of the box. And
might have been. I don't think it was.
Dan Robinson doesn't seem to know that when you set your wall up, you don't actually stand behind it.
No.
And it was a pretty simple free kick from Queenstown, so it was 2-1 going into the break. And then second half we looked like a different team really, but not that great, but still still better. And Reece scored, I think in about 60 minutes or something like that, and then Rahan decided he'd had enough, and off he went.
All right, well, I guess that's it for Football Chat this week. A big thank you to our guests, Cassim and Neve, for coming on.
Yes, once again, thank you, Cassim, and thank you, Neve, and thank you to our viewers. We hope you enjoyed the show.
And you can watch the full interview online at odt.co.nz. Still to come on the South today. Just released figures say if you thought this winter hasn't been so bad, you're not alone. And speaking of which, there's a cold snap on the way in the weather. Find out where it's going to snow after the break.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Hi, it's Lindsay here from Campbell Menswear. We have a massive manufacturer's clearance plus. There's liquidated stock from our suppliers. For example, we have cotton casual trousers from 1990, dress trousers from 1990, merino zip pullovers, fashion shirts, warm winter shirts, jackets. There's a great deal on overcoats, blazers and suits. Come and check out our jeans. We're known for our jean selection.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Come in and see the massive manufacturer's clearance at Alex Campbell Menswear.
MTF Finance can help you turn the key on your next vehicle with a loan made just for you. TCs and lending criteria apply.
Thanks for staying with us. NIWA says the country's average temperatures for June and July have broken previous records, being more than 1.5 degrees from the long-term average for that period. The entire winter season is also on track to be the warmest ever, breaking the previous record set last year. NIWA says a number of factors have contributed to the warmer temperatures, including air pressure being higher than normal in the east, bringing more northeasterly winds and carrying warm air in from the subtropics. The warmer temperatures have not been good for news for ski fields, resulting in more rain and less snow at lower levels. Sea temperatures around the coast have also been warmer than average. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South today. The 76th anniversary of the bombing of Hiroshima was remembered at Dunedin's Peace Pole on the Otago Museum lawn this morning. A wall showcase, which has run into difficulties in the past, is due to be held again in central Otago. And the remains of a historic 19th century causeway in central Dunedin was unveiled last night. And time now for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with this southern view, we're continuing on the Archibald Baxter Memorial. Looking at the situation, no change from yesterday. Widespread snow showers are expected around the region this weekend, possibly to sea level, including Invercargill and Dunedin. At this stage, heavy falls don't look likely, but they do remain a possibility. Farmers need to take this cold spell seriously, and anyone travelling needs to be flexible with their plans. Moving to the southern outlook, it's going to be a bit of a balmy day here with 16 degrees in Balclutha, Gore's 17, the Catlins is 16 and Lumsden is 17. Moving across to Central Lakes area, Wanaka and Alexandra, it's moderate southwesterlies with some cloud. Wanaka has a high of 9 degrees, Alexandra 10. Queenstown can expect freshening southwesterlies with snow showers and 8. And Tiana will see sleety snow showers and 8 degrees. Moving to the northern towns along the coast, Oamaru and Timaru, you can expect moderate southwesterlies with some cloud and 11 degrees. And it's similar inland for Twizel and Amarama with moderate southwesterlies. Twizel sees a high of 10 degrees and Amarama a slightly lower 10 degrees for you. Moving to Dunedin, a few showers developing tonight with an overnight low of 7. It's mostly cloudy tomorrow with showers at times, some sleet and hail possible. Becoming colder with fresh gusty southwesterlies. There'll also be some dry periods too, a high of 9 and a low of 2. Mostly cloudy on Saturday with showers, some sleet and hail possible, becoming colder with fresh gusty southwesterlies, a high of 9 and a low of 1. And in Invercargill, showers developing tonight with an overnight low of 5 degrees. Cloudy with wintry showers on Saturday and Sunday, some sleet and hail likely, and possibly some snow flurries at times. It's going to be very cold with gusty southerlies, so stay indoors when you can. Saturday looks at a high of 8 and a low of 2, and Sunday's not much warmer with a high of 6 and a low of 1. That's all from the South Today team for this Friday and in fact the week. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and check out Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. If travelling, take care and drive to the conditions, but have a great weekend. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.